Hey everyone, so in this video I'm going to provide you with a little bit of information on the Acer Aspire F15. This is specifically the F5 573-58VX model that you see here. So you see this specific model here. So when I bought this computer, there was very little information. There's very little detailed information about this laptop. And I kind of went into it without really knowing what exactly I was going to get. So hopefully this information will be helpful for new buyers out there. And of course, I'm not a professional laptop reviewer or anything like that. Just some amateur, just trying to give other consumers information about what's going on with this laptop. So hopefully you find this video helpful. Pretty much we're just going to start off with the specs first. This is the internals is a Core i5-7200U ultra low voltage CPU running at 2.5 gigahertz. This is a 7th generation Kaby Lake Intel Core i5 processor source, so sort of the mid-range mobile processors for Intel for the 7th generation. Integrated HD graphics 620, 8 gigabytes of DDR4 memory, and it comes stock with a 1 terabyte hard drive. The screen is a 1080p Full HD screen. So on the visual left side, we have Kensington lock, vent, a Ethernet port. Oh, actually, a USB-C port, which only does data transfer, I believe. A gigabit Ethernet, VGA, HDMI, and 2 USB 3 ports. Not too much going on in the front. We have an SD card slot, a couple of indicators, and that's pretty much it. On the visual right side, we have a combo headset jack, headset and microphone jack, USB 2.0 port, DVD drive, and the power plug. Nothing really going on in the back. Let's talk about the build and appearance. The whole build is made out of plastic. I don't think there's really any bit of metal around, but the color is this really nice blue indigo color. Under natural light, it looks really, really nice. I think this is, one of the best aspects of this laptop. So the top is has this kind of a stitch kind of visual texture. There's no like feeling texture, like kind of a touch texture on it. So I know some other Acer laptops have this kind of texture where you can feel like grooves and stuff like that on the top, but this is kind of a smooth plastic that just has it's glossy, and it kind of picks up some fingerprints once in a while, but overall it's quite nice, and it feels pretty sturdy for a plastic top. So the bottom is hard plastic. It depends on how my camera works. The color of the blue kind of changes. This is a little bit more accurate blue. Like if I put it a little bit closer, it gets like the camera makes it darker. But like I think this view really makes it look. Let's see, this view kind of makes it a little bit more accurate in terms of the color. It's really this rich blue color in the bottom. One thing you'll notice about the bottom is that it has an easily removable cover that you can use to access the RAM slots, an M.2 slot, and the hard drive, so you can upgrade the components on your own very easily. Okay, so once we open this up, you'll see what we have available to upgrade. You simply have to remove these 3 screws over here to get it open. You still need some kind of hard plastic, something like a credit card, to loosen up the clips. But once you have but relatively speaking, it's very easy to open up this laptop compared to other consumer laptops. So what you have here is the 2.5, 2.5 inch SATA drive, the 1 TB drive that comes with it. Um, Here we have, I added an M.2 PCIe NVMe SSD, which I would highly recommend you doing. I would recommend you to get an SSD either by replacing this or by adding a M.2 drive here. It's gonna just, because a lot of times like just your performance is bottlenecked by the hard drive speed. Anyways, here we have one of two slots that's available. So it comes with 8, well, DRAM slots available. So this comes with 8 gigs, and you can add another 8 gigs here for a total of 16. I'm not really sure how much RAM this supports. Probably, I'm guessing 32 gigs max memory, but I'm not sure. So definitely 16 though. As far as the keyboard goes, I think Acer makes pretty decent keyboards for their consumer line laptops. There's no flex that I can notice with the keyboard, so it's pretty solid. The touchpad is one of these like one-piece touchpads. It has this kind of silver lining around it. It feels pretty good. It's pretty sensitive. I think the bottom buttons they work pretty well. They give you good feedback. Both the keyboard and the touchpad I think gives you pretty good feedback. So there's no problem just using the keyboard and trackpad by itself. So the display, as I mentioned before, is a 1080p 1920 by 1080 TN panel. So before I go into more detail about the panel itself, I just wanted to say that I think if you're considering buying a laptop, make sure you get a 1080p panel, because it's just going to make your reading productivity much easier. You're going to have more screen real estate when you're reading web pages. When you're watching like full HD videos, they're going to come out crisper. So there's a lot of benefits to having the 1080p video, 1080p screen. And really, if you can if you have the budget for it, get an IPS screen, which this doesn't have. But if you're on a budget, then like a 1080p TN panel is going to be much, much better than a 720p, like a 1366 by 768 screen. So a lot of manufacturers, they cut costs by putting in a crappy screen, and at least this one has what I would say like a mid-range laptop display. So obviously, what you see in the camera isn't really what you see like in person, but what I can say about the screen is that the brightness is just kind of average for consumer laptops. The color display, the color reproduction is okay. It leaves something to be desired. I mean, it's not an IPS panel. That's kind of the benefits of IPS is the contrast ratio. The color reproduction is usually better than IPS, but this is a TN and it does the job pretty well. I've watched movies on here, did web browsing. It's pretty much fine. One of the other drawbacks of TN is that the viewing angles are not so great. I'm not sure if you can see this or not, but like it could definitely have like better viewing angles. But of course, you just pay more for IPS. That's all. So this is a test of the built-in webcam. I think the webcam is one of the weaker aspects of this laptop. Of course, I don't want to show my face in this video right now, but like under bright light or normal light, it seems pretty okay. But under like lower light, if you're indoors, trying to Skype with somebody, and there's not a lot of like, maybe just have a floor light, then the quality of the video is really suffers. It starts getting really grainy and stuff, and yeah, I mean, it's like a lot of manufacturers, they don't really pay attention to their laptops webcams. So we're just gonna listen to a little bit of sound that's output from the speakers, which are bottom facing. I think they sound pretty good. I think this is one of the strong points of this laptop is the sound output, the speakers. I mean, they sound about as good as laptop speakers can, I think. Of course, what you hear is going to be different from what I hear, but just take my word for it. I won't go into performance too much because it should perform basically like any other, well, most other i5-7200Us out there. So you can kind of take a look at what other people have said about it, but basically for typical tasks like productivity, web browsing, video streaming, video playback, things like that, it's just gonna be totally fine. I can even do some like light video editing on this chip, and then this video is probably going to be edited on this laptop as well. Battery life is, I think if you buy it new, it's going to be probably around 5 to 6 hours. Even though I think it advertises something like 12-hour long battery life, but you're not going to get that. But you're not going to really, it's going to be hard for you to find new units. So I think used, it depends on how long it's going to be used, right? In terms of gaming, this is not going to be like a real gaming laptop. I think you can also see other people's reviews about gaming on the 7200U. But it should be able to play some either older titles on medium and then like newer titles maybe on 720p or with low settings or both. So yeah, this is not a gaming PC, just to be clear. Definitely for more of a productivity and maybe a little bit of content creation. One thing that's good about 15.6-inch laptops like this is that it doesn't, like the 7200U CPU doesn't throttle. On some of the thin and light laptops, the CPU can sometimes throttle and then decrease performance after a while. So like if I'm editing like a video on this laptop, like you see the turbo boost is like 3 gigahertz, 3.1 gigahertz, right? So it'll probably stay at 3 gigahertz throughout the entire video rendering. So there's no performance slowdown at all. Alright guys, that's my review of the F5-573-58VX, and I hope you enjoyed the video and found it to be informative. Leave your comments below, and thanks for watching.